Greet your neighbor. Today's invitation will be Seth Buckle.
God, thank you for this building in which we can gather, for the food that we have just enjoyed, and for the fellowship that we've been able to experience. We're thankful for the opportunity to serve our community through you. Give us the humility to see others as more important than ourselves, whether it's giving generously to or cheerfully greeting one another, or maybe it's placing flags around town. Would you give us eyes to see beyond the task in front of us? Eyes to see how our work changes lives. Would you let our impact be lasting with the work and hope and joy to those that are around us? Amen.
Welcome to everyone. It's a beautiful day. We got a beautiful week coming. The temperature's going to get nice. It's time to get out and get a breath of fresh air. Well, this week's Wayne County veteran is on the screen. This happens to be my father, Milton Long Jr., in his World War II uniform. He graduated from Wooster High School in 1942 and immediately went into the military. He served in the 3rd Division until 1946, when he came home and joined the Ohio National Guard, the Wooster unit. He then went through officer candidate school and became a 2nd lieutenant. When the Wooster unit was mobilized for Korea, we as a family all went to Camp Polk, Louisiana from 1952 to 1953. It was hot, dirty, and we lived in OD green trailers. Okay, that was wonderful. Well, after the war, he came back and joined the 447th, which was a civil affairs military government company. And then they built the Reserve Center on Portage Road, and he stayed in the Reserve National Guard until 1978, when he retired as a lieutenant colonel. Secretary Lynn and Secretary's report.
Thank you, President Gregg. A reminder, there'll be a part after our program today that'll take place over by the piano. We will start with guest Terry.
My guest today is Dr. Andy Michael, Associate Dean for the CFAES Wooster.
Tom Rumbaugh has the traveling microphone. We'll start with Matt Long.
My guest today, my assistant, Dick Critchfield, Kathy Cannon, and Donna Hummerkowski.
And at the same table, Lynette Matson.
My name is Nate, Assistant Director of the Writing Center at the College of Wooster, Chilling.
And one table over, Matthew Stearns.
My guest today is our marketing and communication
Welcome to our guests. Tom Rumbaugh has our only announcement, so you're welcome to use that or come to the podium.
Okay, we are coming to the home stretch of getting the flags ready for the season to start. And Wednesday from 4 to 6, we will be assessing and repairing flags at the flag location, and this Saturday, April 15th, from 9 to 11. Anyone has any questions, come and see me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. This time, with my daughter-in-law, I'm going to imagine, please come forward to give your classification, Tom.
Hello, thank you all for having me here today. My name is Lynette Matson, and for those of you who are looking at me and thinking, gosh, she looks familiar, but I'm not sure where I know her from. I'm better known as, let's see if I can switch. There we go, better known as Matt Long's wife. I'm also known as the mother of Henry Long, who is, of course, Greg's best friend. So a little quick backstory about me. I grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I'm not a college football fan, so please don't hold Michigan against me. I moved to Wooster in 2004 to attend the College of Wooster, which is where I met Matt. I was a history major and an English minor there. Lived for a few years in Philadelphia, West Philadelphia, just like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Not quite as cool as he made it out to be. And before I moved back to Worcester to take a job at the Writing Center at the College of Worcester, where I worked for about 10 years. I first came to Rotary when Matt started his presidency in 2018. He kindly took me with him to Toronto to the International Rotary Convention. We had an amazing time, but what I liked best about it was that I had the opportunity to get a sense of what Rotary is all about from a really grand scale. And I was so impressed by the work that Rotary has done over the years in public health, in literacy, in protecting children around the world, and knew that to be a organization. When I was in 9th grade, my English teacher made us all memorize this quote, and it's one that I've kind of tried to live by since then. So this may be familiar to many of you. It's Meditation 17 by John Donne. I won't bore you with the whole thing because the part that matters is the last part, where he writes, "Any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee." And this, I think, really underscores the meaning of Rotary, and particularly Rotary International, in the true commitment to service and caring for each other, not just locally, but around the world. Unfortunately, at the time I went to the convention, I was growing Henry, and I was also in a job where my hours were pretty inflexible, so Rotary did not make much sense to me then. But about a year ago, I left the college and started a new profession. I formed a business called Paragraphs and Push-Ups. Let me tell you, if you are a woman entrepreneur and you want to start a business, Worcester is the place to be because, oh my God, we have role models here, many of whom are in this room. So I want to take just a second to thank all of the women leaders and business owners in this room because you have inspired me whether you know it or not. So because I have a lot of interest and can't just do one thing, Paragraphs and Push-Ups is technically 2 jobs under one umbrella. First thing that I do is writing and editing and writing coaching. I write a whole variety of things, mostly digital content. Actually, being a woman entrepreneur is about the second I left my job at the College of Wooster, Gene Roberts called me and said, "Hey, I heard you're looking for writing work." So it's just taken off from there. And I also do a little bit of coaching one-on-one for people who are just looking to improve their written communication skills. But the fun niche I found is actually the last one on the writing list, which is that awkward thing you don't want to write. You'd be amazed at how many people reach out and say, I need to write a bio, but I'm not comfortable writing about myself. Or I need to write an email and I'd really like to take this tone. Can you help me with that? And those are great projects. The second thing I do is fitness training. I teach strength training at Flex Yoga, led by another awesome woman entrepreneur, Emily Mariola, and personal small group training that I do out of my super awesome garage gym, which came in clutch during the pandemic, by the way. My training philosophy is entirely performance-based and body neutral, which means I care about helping you do what you want to do, not necessarily look in a certain way or have your body appear in a certain way. Before I leave, I just need to show you the other 2 really important members of my family. The black dog is Ducky. He's 11 years old. The little brown one is Daisy. They're both Humane Society dogs, and they are very special to me. So I couldn't get through the presentation without acknowledging them as well. Thank you very much for having me talk to you today, and I'm really looking forward to being a bigger part of Rotary.
Thank you, Linda. We appreciate that. I will get Henry back here though. He didn't like it when I got inducted in, if you remember, so we're gonna give him another shot. At this time, would Sarvesh Arora please come forward for his classification? The reason we had two was because we have so many of them. We have a bunch of new members, and I don't like them to have to wait. So we moved the meeting back so we could get two of them in today. Sorry.
Thank you very much. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation because my wife reminded me that I'm not a technological guy. I spend half my time just trying to figure out the computer. So just gonna tell about myself. I was born in New Delhi, India. My parents immigrated to the United States when I was 2 years old. We moved to Worcester when when I was just 5 years old. I went to Lake Elementary School, which I think is a church now. Went to Edgewood when it was just 7th and 8th grade. Went to the Wooster High School, 9th and 10th, which is Cornerstone, and was the second class to graduate from Wooster High School, the new Wooster High School that we are today in 1996. I went to University of Cincinnati for 1 year, loved it, but wanted to be a Buckeye, so I transferred to Ohio State. Graduated there in 2000. Lived in Columbus for about a year, and really thought, want to live in the big city because love Worcester, but kind of thought I was young. Mom got ill, so decided to move back home to be with her. And just thought I'll just be for a couple of years, and we'll see what happens. But then, my wife, who's from Detroit, Michigan, she is a University of Michigan Wolverine. So yes, I did marry the enemy. We ended up getting married, having kids. And then, when the kids I have twin boys who also attend Worcester High School now, when they were about 4 or 5, and, we're like, hey, what do you want to do? And, do you want to move somewhere to Columbus or just somewhere else? And she was like, you know what, I like you here, great community. Let's just stay here and, see where where things go. Because we have a lot of history in Worcester. My parents used to own the building in downtown, which is now where the Salsa Row is. For many, many years, retail store. I grew up in that store. I had a bad habit. I was 5 years old. I used to get, 7 years old. I used to get bored. I used to run down, pull the fire alarm, run back up. So did a couple times. So any of those old firemen or police officers, I apologize for that. I know that was not a good thing, but I thought it was a fun time. When I came back home, I joined my parents' business. My parents used to own a clothing business called Classic Imports, which some of you might remember downtown. They'll open an office up on Old Gritchell's Drive with the FJ Designs, Old Route 30. Was there for a few years, and then after my mom passed away, my dad just wanted to kind of just get out of the business. So then I started my own business. Surreal Entertainment, which is a company we still look in Worcester. We employ about 20 to 30, depending on the season. What we do is we do licensing wholesale. We acquire the brands for Marvel, Disney, rock bands, and we make fan merchandise as the coffee mugs, fleece blankets. It's a lot of fun stuff. I travel to LA a lot, sometimes meet some cool people along the way, some famous people. It's fun. And one of the other business that my wife does, we own the Dunkin' Donuts here in Worcester. We currently have the one in Worcester, Orville, and Ashland. Looking to expand, and it's just been fun working in Worcester. It's just been such a great community that I'm proud to call my house and I grew up in. And everyone asks me, I travel all over the country, China, India, Europe, and everyone always asks, like, why do you live in, what's Worcester? She's like, why do you live in Worcester, Ohio? I'm like, it's honestly the people. I mean, I've been here since I was 5 years old. And it's been great. I remember growing up in the 80s, being one of the few minority families. We used to face some racism, but then I remember used to be just majority of the town used to band together and just, if there's one person that was hating on my family, there's 10 people that were making us food at home. And, it was great. And that just kind of made it home and just never wanted to leave. My kids I have twin boys that are 17. They're juniors in high school in WHS. Another fun fact, my siblings, Roger and Rushton, are a few years older than me. They graduated from Worcester High School. I did. Both of my nephews, my brother's sons graduated from Worcester High School. My niece did, and my sons will. So my whole family, immediate family, minus my parents, has gone to Wooster High School and graduated. Of course, my siblings now don't live here, and grown, but it's been fun. Married with 2 kids. We have a dog named Audie, who's our pride and joy. Cockapoo. Looking to grow in Worcester, looking to add, anywhere we can grow. But the main thing is, like, what do I see? Just continue to be a part of this great community we have and do whatever we can. I'm part of the NEO board that sits on the Noble Arena. Try to do more in our community. That's been so good to me. And as my kids have been benefited to grow up in this community, as they move out and me and my wife have become empty nesters, maybe get a second dog. Our plan is just give back to the community that gave so much to us, that made my children who are there today. I'm pretty proud of them. They're annoying like me, but you gotta tolerate them. But overall, I love them. They're good kids. And I just hope, in the years to come, I can do for this community what a lot of you that I see around here have seen me growing up. And that's what's nice. I see a few people here who've seen me growing up. And hopefully, I've made everyone proud and look forward to the next generation. And the next generation of Worcester, and continue to make our community grow, which we are, which is amazing, and do our small part to make us even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Great to know about you, Lynette. Glad that both of you decided to join the Rotary. Well, welcome to our guests, Azumi and Suji. We haven't heard a lot from you lately, but I'm sure because you're so busy. And Andy, and Donna, and Kathy, and Jillian, and Brianna, we hope you enjoy the program today in the Fellowship of Worcester Rotary. And today's speaker will be introduced by Terry Snoddy.
Thank you, President Gregg. Dr. Graham Cochran serves as the Associate Dean for Operations for the College of Food, Agriculture, and Environmental Sciences at The Ohio State University. So the acronym for that is CFAES, so you'll probably see that a lot today. He serves in a college-wide role providing leadership for operations across the Columbus, Wooster, and statewide campuses where CFAES has a presence. His portfolio includes agricultural, field, and animal operations at farms, research stations, and field labs, information and educational technology, facilities and capital planning, Worcester facilities operations, and safety. He also works with the Dean and Senior Associate Dean to lead strategic alignment and risk management efforts in the college leadership team. Dr. Cochran previously served as a professor and interim senior administrative officer for CFAES. Prior to that, he served as interim department chair and faculty member on the Columbus campus, working with extension responsibilities and teaching responsibilities in the Department of Agriculture, Communication, Education, and Leadership. Prior to his work on the Columbus campus, he served in several roles on the CFAES statewide campus with OSU Extension. He served as center director and 4-H educator for the Adventure Central in Dayton, Ohio. Prior to that, he served as a 4-H agent and county director in Sandusky County, Ohio. Dr. Cochran is an educator with over 27 years of experience at local, state, national, and international levels in organizational development, leadership development, and workforce development, both with youth and adults in the workforce. Dr. Cochran graduated from Marietta College with a certificate in leadership and Bachelor of Science in Biology. He received his Master of Science in Zoology with an emphasis on small mammal ecology from Miami University in Ohio. And Dr. Cochran received his PhD from the Ohio State University in Human Community Resource Development, focused on extension education and higher education administration. So please give a warm Rotary welcome to Dr. Graham Cochran.
Thank you, Terry. Well, it's good to be here and good afternoon. I would like to say that as I start that I'm here on behalf of Dr. Kathleen Kress, who's our Vice President for Agricultural Administration and Dean of the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences. I will use that CFAES acronym as short because our college does so many things. We decided we need a really long name to include everything. And so it's a mouthful, but I'll use it in short many times today. I do want to start by saying that personally, Rotary is an important organization that has a special place in my heart. My mother, who turned 80 last week, was the first female president of our hometown Rotary in Jackson, Ohio. And in 1988, I was a Rotary senior and got a scholarship as I was beginning to start my college career from Rotary. So a couple of reasons why Rotary has a special place in my heart. As well, the mission and motto centered around service is so important locally, as I've heard many of you already talk about today, and internationally and around the world as Rotary has a presence. And then also for our college, partners like Rotary are central to everything we do. Partnerships are so critical to the success of what we do in our academic programs, in our research, and our extension programs that are around the state. So partners like you are important, and I'm glad to spend a little bit of time with you talking today about our college and the things that we're doing and excited about at Ohio State. Like extension offices, field stations, farms, field labs that are everywhere from Southern Ohio to an island lab in Lake Erie called Stone Lab. Our operations team provides critical support to all that work that we do. And I will mention a few areas. Terry mentioned the areas it covers. We have about 180 employees across those 3 campuses in our operations team, and are supported by approximately a $30 million budget that supports that work. We manage over 11,000 acres of university-owned land, about 4,000 of which is in Wooster or Wayne County, and manage about an $84 million project and active capital project portfolio, so building construction projects. I will mention that I spend time weekly on all 3 campuses as part of the work that I do, usually a day or 2 a week in Wooster. 2 this week, Monday and Thursday happen to be the days that I'm here spending time. And I'm working also with some of your fellow Rotarians, so Senior Fiscal Officer Terry Snoddy, a guest today, Associate Dean Andy Michael is a part of our team. And I do get to enjoy all the things that Wooster has to offer, growing a restaurant scene that I've noticed grow in the years that I've been spending time here. I'm invested in the success of the community, and actually since COVID, because the Ohio State had to start filling out a form that said where we work every day of the week. Since COVID, I'm a Wooster taxpayer too, because I said I work a couple of days a week in Wooster. So just to mention a few things that we're excited about in general at the high level for our college, and then I'll dive into some of the work that we're doing around master planning and facilities planning. I will mention a few fun facts about our college in addition to representing the dean. Just to give you a few numbers, I'm here representing about 408 faculty members in our college. 1,305 staff members, nearly 3,000 students, 47,000 living alumni, and about the same number of animals that we manage to support our work. 88 counties and the 11,000 plus acres that make up our college. I mentioned we're one college with multiple components, multiple campuses, and we're using a slogan called "We Sustain Life" that helps to convey the focus of what we do as a college across all those areas. I've talked about the campuses. Our college also includes OSU Extension. So Wayne County has a presence for Extension. It's an important part of our college portfolio and 4-H. Multiple academic units, including Ohio State ATI, that's based in Wooster here, the School of Environment and Natural Resources, research stations, 100 unique centers and institutes and programs that support the breadth of work that we do in food, ag, and the environment. And the scholarship across those 3 areas that I talked about, this important part of work across teaching, think about our graduate and undergraduate programs, research portfolio across all those areas, and then an outreach or extension function that's a huge part of the work of our college. In general, it's all about improving the food and ag sectors, the environment, and the quality of people's lives. So I do want to mention the cooperative structure that includes county commissioners, state government, federal partners, and many others in the public and private sectors as being central to the work that we do, both in terms of the focus of what we do and also the financial resources to make it happen. And that's the same here in every county in Ohio, that cooperative partnership is very critical. So we do educate a lot of college students. I mentioned about 3,000, but we have contact with over 1 million individuals every year across the lifespan. We add in our extension portfolio and those programs that we do. I do want to mention that Wooster has been since the late 1800s and continues to be a critical part of the overall strategy as a college across those programs. And our presence in Wooster is a little different than other locations around the state. So in many counties, or every county, we have a county extension office as sort of a minimum baseline presence. In some places in Ohio, you see another campus for Ohio State. So places like Mansfield and Marion and Newark. We're a little different than that. And we're focused on teaching across many disciplines. So those campuses like Mansfield or Marion or Newark are focused on teaching across the disciplines that are part of Ohio State. In Wooster, you can think of it as just the disciplines that are represented, and just there's a lot of them, but just the disciplines that are represented in the College of Food, Ag, and Environmental Sciences across all the things that we do in those mission areas that I mentioned. I would like to give a shout out to your current past president, Terry Snoddy. I don't know how many of you are aware, you may or may not be aware, that Terry, in addition to leading our work in Wooster, is responsible for the entire portfolio of the finances for our college. This includes financial planning, strategy, services across all 3 campuses, about a $240 million budget that Terry does a fantastic job helping us as a college manage. And I will say it's one that's very complex. I mentioned all those funding partners. We're probably one of the most complex colleges to manage. And Terry takes an incredibly complicated task and does an outstanding job simplifying it and being one of the senior leaders on the Dean's Cabinet. So a few quick updates or things we're excited about in general, and then I'll dive into some things happening here in Wooster. We have a lot of momentum happening in the college that we're excited about. We're constructing new facilities and renovating buildings on our Columbus campus and on the Wooster campus that I'll get into in more detail. And it's really about modernizing our spaces for our students so that they're exposed to cutting edge technology. We're also recruiting a lot of new top experts or faculty members in their chosen fields so that we have the best teachers and mentors. A few highlights this year: we welcomed 20 new faculty members into the college. We're going to add another 8 this fall, and over 30 faculty searches in process. Some of our people are just getting tired from all these searches, but it's an exciting time. New faces, new energy, and a number of those faculty either do or will call Wooster home. On recruitment and enrollment, we had a new pilot program this year called the Buckeye Agricultural Leaders Pathways Program. Big, long acronym like everything else we do. And it was a collaboration between our college and the university's Office of Strategic Enrollment. It did a few things for us. So it prioritized early admission notification, which gives us an ability to offer scholarships earlier to students, and an application review that included additional consideration for 4-H and FFA participation and leadership and recognitions of skills learned in things like farming experiences. And then that also gave us an increased outreach opportunity early from our college staff to admitted students to try to bring them into our college fold. That includes students coming to both the Columbus campus and Wooster campus. We're seeing those efforts pay off. It's the first year, but we're seeing an increase in admits and in paid acceptance fees, which is a bright spot for us. We're also growing our work in controlled environment agriculture. If you buy a tomato or eat a tomato at places like Wendy's, you may be aware that more and more of those are grown in high-tech controlled environment facilities across the U.S., including a growing industry in Ohio. We're growing that work, some interesting grant projects to the tune of about 10 million that our faculty received recently. Projects include things like the strawberry supply chain, strawberry genetics and flavor, and artificial intelligence. And then our work in CA happens to be in Columbus and Wooster. You've probably driven by, if you've driven by the Wooster campus at dawn or dusk, sometimes you see lights on and greenhouse facilities there. And soon it will include outer space with a new space station that's going up soon that will have a focus on ag research as part of its portfolio. And then the last thing in a general update I'll mention is a new project that's funded as a partnership with Nationwide called an Ag Tech Innovation Hub. It's a partnership between our college and nationwide, and think about it having a focus on challenging students and faculty to bring their expertise and innovative ideas and solutions to tackle the grand challenges we're facing in the world today. And to do that in a way that promotes applied research, tech transfer, quick turnaround of things. We have the first round of projects for that are being screened now and will get funded soon. And we'll look forward to some more news about that project. Okay, well, this will be the part with pictures, so hopefully it'll keep you awake. I know after lunch, it's always challenging being the speaker after lunch, so I'll have some good pictures here to share. The last set of things, so the third area I wanted to talk a little bit about is our college strategy, including our master plan and plans for the CFAES Wooster campus. So Terry mentioned I have the privilege of working with our dean and our leadership team on strategy, and I call it the places and spaces that are important for the work that we do. We work across Ohio, and for us, places and spaces mean a lot of different things. So they range from classrooms and office spaces like you normally think of at a college or a university, but it also includes things like barns and greenhouses and all kinds of other spaces that are important for the work of our students, faculty, and staff. What I'll talk about today, I brought up our strategic alignment or college strategic plan with a number of goals. It includes one that we're very proud of there, the student first philosophy. I'll spend my time, because it's in the world that I live in every day, on goal 5, which is resource stewardship. As part of that goal, we worked on a facilities master plan, and that's the first thing I'll talk about. And I'll take a deep dive on the Wooster campus and the plan for the Wooster campus. We finished this in 2021. We did a deep dive for our Columbus campus, where we have a significant presence in Wooster as a part of that. For those of you that aren't familiar with facilities master plans, I'll just mention a couple things about why they're important and how we use them. It thinks about the campus environment holistically and rather than project by project. And so it helps us with strategic direction over time and thinking about things that we might not even be doing until 5 or 10 years from now, but making decisions in the near term with that longer term picture in mind. Some highlights of the Wooster plan that I'll mention include a streamlined approach to land holdings and a vibrant heart of campus. Our campus itself is very spread out and has been spread out over time for a variety of reasons, some of them historically. One outcome of this plan, and why I bring up this picture here to show you, is a plan to consolidate mission critical activities to the central campus, so where it says central campus there, and Grace Drake near Apple Creek to increase efficiency of operations. And we've begun to implement some of this. You may have seen some of it in the news. I've talked to reporters a couple times here locally about some land divestment and funds generated that will be reinvested in key priorities for the Wooster campus. You'll see me talk about some of those key priorities in just a few minutes here. Another important theme in the master plan was creating a heart of campus with renovated and new facilities. And so this gives you a snapshot. We would be sitting on Madison Avenue looking to the east here, if it kind of helps you orient there. So the heart of campus here, that shows the core of campus, the new science building. And if you haven't gotten a chance to be there, that's labeled there. I encourage you to come walk through sometime, at least in the ground level. There's a cafe there, a new bug zoo, and I'll talk about the rest of that building in just a minute. But that's near the heart of campus. Across from that science building is the Schisler building that some of you may have gone to programs or events at, and the Fisher Auditorium building that's connected to that. It also includes a new residence hall, other new future long-term academic buildings. In the background, you see turf grass amenities there that includes a soccer field and 3 golf holes. So I'll dive into the specific buildings now. We talked about the master plan, and I'll just share some of the building work that we're doing in terms of new construction or renovations. This is for our entire college portfolio across 3 campuses. I've mentioned the work that we do there, about $41 million in projects completed last year, many of which were on the Wooster campus, and I'll mention a few of them in a minute here and share some pictures. Over 31 million in active projects today, and so active means they're in design with architects, they're under construction, or some that are nearing completion. Many of these are in Wooster if you look at the 31 millions as well. So I'll share first a few highlights of some, not all, because it's a pretty big list of things that were completed in the last few years in Wooster. This is a picture of the science building that opened in January 2021. We realized because it was opening during COVID, it was kind of a weird one. And we did cut a ribbon, but didn't have very many people there. We're actually planning an open house for this fall for the community. And so I invite you to attend when you see the information come out to see the campus in general and specifically get a tour of this building. It includes the entomology department, wet teaching labs for students, the bug zoo on the ground floor that's named United Titanium Bug Zoo, and a cafe for students, faculty, and staff to use. Another one that seems a little silly, but was important for us recently was adding some multi-use paths on the campus to help promote the connections between the apartments in Applewood Village where students live to the new science building and some of the other places that they want to move back and forth from on campus. A few others that I'll mention that were completed since 2017 include the Seacrest Welcome Center, ATI Construction and Landscape Lab, a new ATI greenhouse, and a new bee facility at the Grace Drake Ag Lab near Apple Creek. So these are a few that are in process. This is one that, other than our boiler operators, most people never think about or worry about until their building's not warm or their autoclave's not working. But it's a significant project that represents an investment in the long-term future of the campus. A $9 million boiler replacement. We have a central heating facility that provides steam heat to the campus, including the heating and things like autoclaves. So that's actually operational now. Our operators are working out the kinks, and it's now actively supplying heat to the campus. It was one that we were not planning on. We had to redirect some state funds that were going to go to other things and extend some things out a little bit farther, but you've got to have heat. And so we got that one moving. Another one that's in the very early stages is some major renovation to the Fisher Auditorium building. The plans there in general are to keep the auditorium and expand the building to some extent. So some new addition and some major renovation to create a better hub for campus. So think about dining, the library, retail. So where you could come and buy your Buckeye gear. There were a couple of Buckeye alums I already talked to. Gathering spaces and more. So think of it like a student union. In Columbus, the student union is a place for students, faculty, and staff, and also the community to come together for programming. A new piece of artwork will go up soon. If you're not aware, there's a rule that 1% of state capital funds that go into projects go towards art. And so this is a picture of the commission artwork that will be installed this spring on campus near the science building. And then the last one I thought I'd mention is several new turf features that will go in as early as this fall, including a soccer field and 3 golf holes. So if you look at the map there, to the left is where I talked about the heart of campus being, to the right or the east would be Seacrest Arboretum, and sort of situated in the middle there, 3 golf holes and an athletic field. They'll bring some turf amenities. Will support our strong turf program at ATI, but also then recreation opportunities for undergraduate students and graduate students. And this is the siting of where they'll be located. We think the soccer pitch will go in this fall. We're working with some industry partners on that right now. And then the last I'll mention, a few not pictured but in progress, include a renovation of the Kraus Dairy on Oil City Road. And that one is in design, and a new swine facility. We partially updated the swine facility that's at Apple Creek at the Grace Drake Ag Lab a few years ago with new modern modular facilities. And we're finishing that this summer, and it'll be ready for students this fall. And then some new signage going up. You'll see some new signage going up. They've already poured concrete at the corner of Madison and Seacrest and the main entrance off Madison Avenue. So I think with that, I'll mention a few things to wrap up and then open it up for questions. I'll come back around to what I mentioned earlier and just emphasizing that we're a college with multiple components, multiple campuses, and united in one purpose. We sustain life. Our college includes those 3 campuses that I talked about: Columbus, CFAES Wooster, and the statewide campus. We're committed to scholarship across those 3 key areas: teaching, research, and our extension or outreach programs. And the Wooster campus and our place in Wayne County is an important part of our focus and strategy moving ahead. I hope you got a sense today of how we're investing in the future and are here as part of our facilities master plan and the things that my team is working on with operations. So with that, I'll stop and we can open it up for questions, however you'd like to do that.
Hey, Dr. Graham, President, you guys do, question about the goal here, almost should have been a purposeful decision that you guys made in that. Can you, just help us understand what happened there? Why you guys did that?
Sure, thank you. So the question was around Hawks Nest Golf Course and our decision to divest from Hawks Nest as part of that overall strategy I talked about. You're right, it was a purposeful decision. As we worked on the master plan for the college, I talked about consolidating land resources and closer to campus. So one of the things we found as we changed from, so the reason we acquired Hawks Nest as a generous gift was as a learning lab for students primarily, also a public golf course. For anything that we operate like that, it's got to have a direct connection to our mission. And as we moved from quarters to semesters, we found that with the class schedules, that it was more and more difficult to get students there for their learning experiences for a number of reasons, course schedules, also things like we're finding less and less students have cars on campus. And so it was just very challenging for us to use it for the primary purpose of what we would operate a golf course for, which is the student learning experience. And so as we looked at things, we really felt like continuing to operate a public golf course just as a golf course wasn't in our best interest as a college. We're not good at managing that kind of thing. And so we felt like that was, you know, the key reason was around it not being core to our mission and the work that we do. And so part of that strategy that you saw is that we will add some amenities on campus that students can access and use for teaching programs that we think will help do the same thing, but do it in a more efficient and a better way for our students.
Great.
How do you see the relationship between CFAES, campus, and ATI going forward in the coming year?
Yeah. So the campus is run by our college, and ATI is one program of our college. So, among other departments, so on the Wooster campus, we have Ohio State ATI, which is an two-year undergraduate program. We have most of our other academics departments in our college have a presence in Wooster as well. So think about entomology I talked about. That's where Dr. Michelle's home is, and a number of other departments. So they work with undergraduates, they work with grad students. I will go on to say, though, that Ohio State ATI is a really important part of our competitive advantage as a college and our plans as Ohio State going forward, because access is so important for one. The programs that Ohio State ATI are doing now and the ones that are being planned for the future are new programs like Vet Tech. We're talking about a new milling program. So those kinds of two-year programs we know are going to continue to be very important and bring people into the workforce, into the pipeline, and the kinds of jobs that we prepare students for. The other reason that it's particularly important is we think that students can have, in some cases, a better experience if they spend a year or 2 years here and finish a 4-year degree in Columbus. We don't have 4,000 acres on the Columbus campus of farms and field labs. And so the kinds of things that students can do here right outside their back door, are just incredible. And so we think that but we need to do some things to make it a better place for students, like a dorm, and that the Fisher remodel I was talking about that has some of those amenities that students want to come to a place and study at. So increasing the quality of facilities we think is important, but we do think those programs that students come to here for at Ohio State ATI are a really important part of our future.
This is a follow-up to that question. I understand, or can you explain the collaborations between College of Wooster, Wayne General, the local high schools, and your students and course offerings?
Yeah, I can mention a couple examples I'm aware of, but I'm not the right person to ask that because I think about facilities and things mostly. I was just driving over with Andy Michael, and he was talking about students that from the College of Wooster that do research. So one example is we do have some neat opportunities for students that are at the College of Wooster to do research in our research labs on the campus. And so there is some collaboration there that I'm aware of. We do have students that do post-secondary work as part of the Ohio State ATI program, both from the city and then other surrounding schools. As another example, Chris Boone, who's our assistant dean and director of Ohio State ATI, is not here today, but a Rotary member. Sometime could answer more details about all the different kinds of collaborations, but those are a few things that come to mind.
Hi, thank you. With thinking about the future of farms and food and a lot of land that has just been listed by the Ohio State University, I know the Mellinger farm have deed restrictions. Were there deed restrictions put on any of those other properties for farmland preservation purposes, or was that not? Were you not able?
Yeah. So Mellinger was one of those properties that was on the divestment plan that you mentioned. It is one that did have a deed restriction, an agricultural deed restriction that's being conveyed as part of the sale. The other properties did not. Several of them we know. Hawks Nest is staying in agriculture broadly defined. We know as part of that sale, but the other ones did not have deed restrictions like that. Thank you.
It's very interesting, and we know how important it is to the city of Worcester and to the people in Wayne County, especially being an agricultural county. Well, in appreciation for your time with us today, I'd like to present you with a rendition of the rotary wheel with a 4-way test on your back, made locally by students at the Village Network. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, we're pleased to have all our guests here today, and I'm actually going to get you out here a few minutes early. Next week's program will be an update on ANAZE by Michelle Kelly, Director of Adult Services, and Mark Wood, Executive Director. Please have a safe week, and we'll see you next Monday. We stand adjourned. You're the big wheel, huh?
It kind of scares me when he talks about I'm responsible.